Hi, I'm Dick Eydt with Bites by Eydt. We cater to exceptional clientele along the eastern seaboard, from Manhattan to Greenwich, Nantucket, down to Florida's Vero Beach, Boca Raton, and we're based in Atlanta, Georgia. We cook restaurant quality food and make it very easy and simple for you to do at your home for your family and for your guests. Today we're going to do another one of our fan favorites, the best bites that we do. So let's get started. We're going to do a very yummy sliders with caramelized onions, cheddar cheese, a little bit of brushed butter on top of the King's Hawaiian bread that has a little bit of sugar in there, and then sesame seeds. After that, we'll make homemade hummus. So let's begin. Here we go. We'll start with the ground beef, and we'll season it, and then we're going to add it into the Pyrex dish, cook it for 25 minutes, and then we'll assemble the sliders with parchment paper on the bottom so it's easy for it to come out. The King's Hawaiian bread, the caramelized onions, the cheddar cheese, we'll assemble the top half of the King's Hawaiian, brush it with butter, and then sprinkle the sesame seeds onto it. When we finish it off, we'll add some arugula to give it some good color and some crispiness. So we'll take it and put it into a Pyrex dish. This is probably a good 2 pounds of ground beef, and we want to make it so it's evenly distributed, and you can make it so as thin or thick as you want. I wouldn't do it too thick, and I wouldn't do it too thin. Cooking it for 25 minutes to start with, we'll cook it mostly through, and the next 25 minutes we'll toast the bread, melt the cheese, and cook the beef to the about medium rare or so. Okay, so now that we have that, sprinkle a little bit more sea salt, a little more pepper, and then we'll stick in the oven. 375 for 25 minutes. Okay? And there you go. Pretty simple, but one of our fan favorites. It's a great appetizer. I normally wouldn't do this for an entree, but I do this for a lot of graduations for kids. So it goes after a younger audience that like simple food, but a lot of my adults like the sliders. So here we go. We'll put it in the oven. So we're going to caramelize some onions. We've done that in other shows on the flatbread pizzas that go very well, but it also goes great on the sliders. So we've peeled the onions, we've cut them in half. The last part we're going to do is we're going to take out this portion of it where it makes it easier once they're cooking, so it separates and they don't stick together. So I just take a knife and cut out the center part of it, and it just makes the job that much easier. If you don't, it's not the end of the world, but this is just a nice little step to do, a little cheat, so it's easy. We'll add our sugar to it. We'll add our sea salt and our pepper. I do it in a cast iron steel. I'm going to add the olive oil, the Calavito extra virgin olive oil to it. Yep, starting to bubble. You can hear it sizzle. There's one, and there's two. I'll turn down the heat just a little bit. It doesn't have a high smoking point, it's rather low, but it does impart great flavor to the onions. Always use extra virgin olive oil, and the Calavito is a great brand. It's what I use. It will take about 5-6 minutes on the one side. It'll be caramelized brown. In the meantime, I'll slice the King's Hawaiian bread. Again, take your time on this. probably cut it more to the top of the King's Hawaiian, because once you put the hamburger on top of the King's Hawaiian, it'll compress. So I'd say about 2/3 of the way up. Slice it, rotate it, slice it, rotate, and we're in good shape there. So, and you can see we have a pretty good, clean this up a little bit. And there you go. So now the bread's ready. I can hear the nice sizzle on the onions. See if it's ready to be turned over. We're getting great color here. Give a little peekaboo. That's got some great caramelization. A little bit longer on that. Let's take a look at this side. Just another 30 seconds or so is really all we need. And then we can flip it over. Again, when you make the caramelized onions, you can make them in advance. You can store them for a week, 2 weeks or so. Just keep it in the extra virgin olive oil. So I think that the onions are ready to be flipped over. Let's give a little peekaboo on it. And let's check out the caramelization. That's great color. Great color that we have there. And we'll do the other one. Yeah, that's really what we're looking for. The great thing about these caramelized onions is that you can make it in advance. They'll last for a week or 2 weeks in your refrigerator. Just keep it in the extra virgin olive oil in the fridge. The oil and the onions will get a nice caramelization flavor and coloring to it. Let's give a little peekaboo on the ground beef and see how that's doing. It's been in for about 25 minutes. Yep, okay, that's ready to come out. And that's what we're looking for. Great aroma, great coloring. And I'll drain the excess of the fat here, and then we can start the assemblage of the sliders. I'll just wipe this out. We'll add the parchment paper to it. And the reason we put the parchment paper on is it'll be easy to lift the whole thing out. The bread won't stick to the Pyrex. It just makes it easy to cut. There we go. Put it there right in the middle. We'll add, this could be a little tricky, but if you just take your time on it and put it down, it's easy. So this is such an easy recipe to do because since it's one entire piece, when we take it out, we're gonna chop it and slice it. And so we're not doing individual sliders. It's just one big slider that we then cut, okay? So let's get the caramelized onions. And these are ready to go. And we'll just put these on. You can put them on as thin or thick as you want. They'll get a nice bite to it. We'll then put the cheddar cheese on. We'll then cover it up, bake it, and we're not going to put on the lettuce until it comes out after another 25 minutes of being in the oven. Okay, so there's one caramelized onion. If you want to put more on there, you can, but I like to have an even distribution of flavors. Make sure you get it all the way to the edges so everyone gets a bite and a taste of the onions. Let's take this pot away, put it back, clear some room. Turn off my heat. Okay, now we'll add the cheddar cheese. Again, as much as you want. I like a lot of cheddar cheese. It will be ooey and gooey. Add some good flavor to it. It's already looking pretty good already. Make sure you get all around the edges so everyone gets a little bit of cheese in all the bites. Okay, put the top on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There we go. Okay, we're going to melt the butter. We'll sprinkle it with sesame seeds and put it back in the oven for another 20 minutes. Okay? Okay, so last step, important step. I once made this for a client event and I forgot to brush it with butter and put the sesame seeds on. So I stuck it in the oven. It turned out well, but the top was really, really dark. They ate it, but it just didn't look as appealing, but it still tastes phenomenal. So take your butter, we just melt it in the microwave. Be generous with the butter. What's wrong with having butter, right? Again, hit all the areas so it doesn't burn or it doesn't get too brown. The butter will seep into the sliders and just give it that much more flavor and excitement. So I did probably a good half a stick of butter melted, which is enough for these. What I have, 3, 6, 9, 12. So that's more than enough. Don't go skimpy on it. You can never have too much butter, you can never have too much bacon. And then we'll again use the helicopter approach for the sesame seeds. So it gets covered evenly. Sort of like McDonald's, but better. And again, this whole process takes maybe a half hour to make, and you can feed an army. You could do a couple batches of these. You could use a bigger Pyrex, and you'll have enough for 40, 50, 60 of the guests. You can also make it differently. You can have some just plain, some with cheddar cheese, some with cheddar cheese and the caramelized onions. You can add bacon to it. So be creative. I like adding the arugula lettuce after it's been cooked. It just gives it a nice cleaner taste. Okay, so let's put this in the oven. We're ready to go. So here's another fan favorite. It's homemade hummus. It is so easy to make. A Cuisinart, chickpeas, tahini, a little lemon juice, cumin, garlic, and then you can add other things. After it's made, you can add other things to put on top of it. But it's a 15-minute tops dish that you can make, and people love it. You can get the store-bought, but this is so much better. So let's start with the garlic, and just press down, take your time. We're going to take out the pith to the garlic there, and you can see how large that pith is. So it came right from here, and that's the size of the pith right there. So take that out. I don't think you really want to overpower it, but you do want to give it a little flavor. So smash it down. Let's take out this pith. You can see it takes up a good percentage of the garlic clove. Snap that off there, throw that away. So there's 1.5, 2 cloves of garlic. We'll chop these up. I'll put it in there. The Cuisinart blades will chop this up even more, but I like to mix it up with the olive oil and get it chopped up finely for it. Okay. Here we go. Add the olive oil. That's good. You can use a pulsing action if you want. You can just let it run for a little bit. Either way is good. 30 seconds tops. I'll pulse it a few more times. And look at it, and yeah, all the garlic are really small little bits and pieces. Okay? Open it back up. Put in the chickpeas. So you can either take the skins off the chickpeas or don't take the skins off the chickpeas. I leave them on. Okay, we'll add a little tahini to it. A couple of tablespoons is really all you need. And then I'll add some cumin to it. So about a teaspoon tops for this amount. This was 8 ounces of chickpeas. So it's still a little bit coarse, and so I add water to it. And that helps thin it out. It makes it light and fluffy. A couple of tablespoons of water. Add a little salt and pepper. And there you go. Quick and easy. It's a lot better than buying store-bought. And the last part I'll do is I'll add some fresh lemon juice to it. I think that adds a nice freshness, crispness to it, and gives a little bit of a pop. So I use my hands, probably 2 tablespoons. Make sure the pits don't go in there. I can already smell the cleanness that we're getting with the lemon juice, and we're done. Homemade hummus. And again, take it out, put it in the refrigerator. Now it's warm since it's been going around in the food processor, which is a nice little change to it. And then just add other types of ingredients you want to it. I always drizzle extra virgin olive oil on top, a little sea salt and pepper. Sometimes I do roasted peppers on top, pesto, pine nuts, feta cheese, goat cheese, whatever you want to add in there. And it makes for a great little snack. And it's good and healthy for you. So there we go. Homemade hummus in a few minutes. Enjoy. Okay, I can smell those sliders. So they're ready to be taken out. And they're going to look fantastic. So they have great coloring. And you can see all of the cheese that's melted, how it's oozed all over. They just look fantastic. They smell great. With the parchment paper in there, it makes it so easy to pull out, and then we'll cut it and put it on the plate. One, two, three, up and down. I'll take the Pyrex out. Look at these bad boys. They look fantastic. Again, so much easier. You make one batch at a time. We'll now cut it and plate it. And nice easy cuts. There we go. I'll rotate it around. Let's open up. Take a look at that, right? The cheese, the caramelized onions. We'll add a little bit of lettuce to some of them and put it back on. Put it on the plate. Let's do another one. Open it up. Look at that cheese oozing out of there, right? Crazy. Put that on. We'll do one more. Some more arugula. If you wanted to, you could also add tomato to it. Whatever you want to do. I just like arugula, a little peppery, a little spicy. I think it adds a nice flavor to it. You can see how nice and creamy, when I pour it out, you'll see how nice and creamy it is. And it's great flavor. It's so much better than store-bought. It takes just a few minutes to put on there. And your guests will really like this, and they'll be blown away by how tasty it is, how simple it is. I think for a little garnish, we can add some dill to it. Let me just clean up this plate a little bit. Put that right there. And there you go. Homemade hummus. Quick and easy, a little bit of dill, beef sliders, caramelized onions, cheddar cheese, a little arugula. Again, this can feed an army. Simple to do, easy to do, and they are amazing. You got to try it. So I want to thank my sponsored, Rugged Road Outdoors, Ziploc bags, Calavita olive oil, and the baking steel for another great show. So thank you very much, and we'll see you again soon.